What are your recommendations for people today who want to get in an industry that seems saturated, looking from the outside in? How would they do this research, or is there maybe a plan you can share on how people can go about even acquiring such, or even starting? What should they look at to even know if it's worth getting into?
There's a couple of things that come to mind. I mean, one, while doing all that research, as we got more serious, I then started to network within the industry. So, I had actually 2 calls with 2 of our competitors before we were even a company. So I think that's later down the path.
But can you share what those were? Like, what would you ask, just so people can kind of understand, like, what do you mean by networking? Because that's a very broad term.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back then if I was using LinkedIn. I mean, I definitely was. I don't know to what extent, but there was another startup in the space that started 2 years before us, and I kind of opened up, sent them an email. The 2 founders, they were a 10-person company, so it probably wasn't too hard to get their attention. But I actually pitched them and told them what we were working on, and wanted to see if they wanted to talk to us, and they were they took the call. So that was the type of networking that I'm talking about. There was another company that was a much larger company, and I did have a call with the CEO there. His reaction kind of was like, "Why are you reaching out to me? Like, I'm not going to help you." So I think you need to be aware that some of those reactions are going to happen, because if I got some of those, if someone reached out to me today to ask for help in my own industry, I wouldn't be very receptive of it. But depending the angle, if it's complementary to our business, if they're pitching it like maybe there's ways we could work together, then I would be responsive. And I think in general, for me, anyone who's creating something new, trying to do something different in the space, I'm going to take the call, because I want to know what's going on. So, 2 sides, both are going to get some information and some value there. And some of the feedback I got early on was, if you think that you're creating this idea, you're going to pitch it to someone, and they're going to stop everything they're doing to start working on that, you're kind of naive, because people have their own agenda, their own plans. So I wouldn't be too concerned about opening up a little bit. You don't want to give them all the secret sauce if there's secret sauce. But at a high level, I think you should be comfortable talking about it. Now, I'm sure every industry is going to have some kind of exclusions there if it is something that is easily duplicative, but you're going to be the first to market. But I think having those conversations can be valuable to both sides. The other industry research, I did a lot of kind of like your traditional banking competitive landscape research as well. So, TicketMaster is a public company. You can get your hands on the equity research reports and start digging through that. If it's public companies that are your competitors, you could be going through their SEC filings, so you could learn a lot about that. You could be looking at company presentations. Ticketmaster, Live Nation, both at the time were both public. There was a great deal of information that I was able to get through those, 10Ks, 10Qs, as well as like the company presentations. You could listen in onto those calls, and you could actually hear CEOs talk about their business, which is also very insightful. And then the other piece was talking about some of those reviews. Like, you can go look through Yelp and look at what those reviews are and see what people are saying about the competitors. You're going to see the best and the worst there. So it will give you a good idea if people are disgruntled. Obviously, you have to take it for what it is, because you're either going to have 1 star or 5 star for the most point.
And did you ever feel that someone would steal your idea? Because one of the biggest, I guess, problem that people have, that we hear about, is that, hey, I'm afraid to speak to the big guys in the game because they can implement this so quickly and I become obsolete. Like, did you ever have that worry, or was there anything that kind of you did to prevent that from kind of being the case? If that was even a problem,
We did, and that's why we went the patent path. Looking back, there's no way I would have gone the patent path. I guess it was part of our path and journey that got us comfortable to quit our jobs. But I don't put too much value on that. And that was being 25 and not knowing what to do next. And that exact feeling. We had one call with some people at PayPal was at the time owned by eBay, and eBay owned StubHub. So it wasn't quite our competitor, but it was close enough to get a read on what we were doing. And they kind of, so yeah, it sounds like you're onto something. StubHub's not going to transition their business to do what you're doing. So I did get some feedback like what they're doing is working. They're profitable. They're not going to disrupt their own business. So I get the concern. I think you need to use your own judgment, but I would definitely side with the side that most big companies, you're not going to get to the right person that's going to be able to hear your idea, bring it up the ranks to then start to implement that. Like, you know, if Amazon is your competitor, if you think about you have the opportunity to talk to some people there and you're nervous that they're going to start to steal your idea, I think you're crazy.